All right, thanks so much everyone for joining today. Welcome to our webinar, 5 Steps to Align Your Teams to Optimize Customer Experience. My name is Caitlin Griswold. I'm the Marketing Manager here at Covestic, and I'll also be your moderator for today's session. Before we start, just a few housekeeping items. As we go through today's sessions, if you have any questions regarding what's being presented, just go ahead and feel free to type your questions into the question box located on the GoToWebinar screen, and we'll do our best to answer all of those questions at the end of the session. But if for some reason we're not able to get to them, just insert them into the chat box and we'll follow up with you via email. We'll also be recording today's webinar, and it'll be emailed out to you if you'd like to play it back or share it with some other members of your team who weren't able to attend today. So we'll be covering a few different topics in today's webinar. Let's just take a quick look at the agenda for today. So first, we'll just do some introductions and we'll give you an overview of who we are here at Covestic. Second, we'll review the 5 steps that we recommend to help align your internal teams and really redefine and optimize your customer service experience. Customer experience doesn't start and stop or live just within the customer support organization, and today we want to really show you how you can reach across those organizational silos to improve your customer experience. And then third, we'll highlight how the ServiceNow Customer Service Management Platform can help you perform these steps and achieve improved customer service. And we'll also go ahead and highlight one of our own client success stories. And then lastly, we'll just have a quick review of the key topics that we covered in the webinar, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's just get started with a quick overview of Covestic. So we're a full-service consulting firm and a Silver ServiceNow partner headquartered in Kirkland, Washington. We employ over 200 senior-level consultants, averaging over 15 years of professional consulting and IT operations experience, and we've been delivering service management services and solutions since 2001. Our expertise is organized into 3 practice areas. The first is our IT Ops Services practice that focuses on developing, standardizing, and operating IT operations functions, including cloud and enterprise infrastructure, security operations, applications administration, and operations build and run. Our second practice area is our project delivery services practice, and that focuses on providing project leadership to deliver complex IT projects. Covestic's experience in project management ensures compliance, quality, and timing of projects and deliverables that are aligned with our clients' needs. And then our last practice area is our service management consulting practice, and that focuses on assessing, defining, and implementing optimized service management solutions, with ServiceNow being our only service management solution partnership. So with that, I'm just going to hand it over to James to kick off the remainder of the presentation.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. My name is James Devine, and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at Covestic. I've been implementing ServiceNow solutions for coming up on 8 years now. It's quite a long time. About 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to lead one of the first major forays into customer service management, as it's now called, using ServiceNow. Since then, I've really become a CSM evangelist. And I'm excited to be presenting this info today because I've really seen what a difference this can make when a company truly looks at the entire customer experience instead of just customer support and has the right tools in place to really make strides in this area. So if you're not already, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I love keeping in touch with everybody out there. As I said, I'm a CSM evangelist, so you'll actually see me listed as the CSM guy on LinkedIn. All right, so redefining customer service and the customer experience. Over the past 30 years, companies have become very segmented when it comes to customer service, and a lot of companies are still treating customer service as something handled primarily from a support standpoint, meaning that all the effort around customer experience is focused on call centers and how to handle the break-fix model. So today people have access to a lot of information and they get to see ratings by other customers, so we really need to look more at experience, not just customer support. So the overall perception of how easy and effort it is to do business with somebody is really, really important to customer success. Some of the biggest corporations out there today put very little effort into their customer support operations, but focus more on a holistic improvement of of their products and services. So it results in less of a need for customers to contact the company for support issues. An example, how many of you have ever talked to a customer support agent for Apple, Amazon, or Google? Those are three companies that I do a lot of business with, and I don't think I've ever spoken to an agent for any of those companies through any type of channel, text support, voice, or otherwise. Why is that? Well, these organizations take very proactive approach to the entire customer experience. They're looking for weak points, collecting data, and proactively improving the products so that the self-help tools and the product itself really need very little customer support. So, from a customer standpoint, it doesn't just reduce the cost of running a massive customer support center. It's also far more appealing and attractive from a business transaction when customers are considering who to buy products from or use services. I'll tell you a little story about that picture that's there on the left. I actually took this picture last week when I went into my mobile phone carrier to change my plan. First off, I had to wait in line for 30 minutes. Then I had a sales associate using a blank sheet of paper and a calculator, you can see that there in the picture, in order to do the comparisons of my plans. The whole process took nearly 2 hours. You would think that a company as high-tech as one of the country's leading mobile phone providers would have some system in place that would make this an easier process, or better yet, allow me to make these changes online, but because I was removing lines from my plan, I had to drive all the way across town to their store, which cost them money to maintain. I had to interact with their sales associate, who they have to pay, and then I wasted an entire evening doing what was a pretty simple change to my services. And I walked out of there a very frustrated customer. Sadly, unless I choose to fill out a survey, which I rarely do, my carrier will have no idea of the dissatisfaction that I had with their process. That wasn't a customer support issue, that was a customer experience issue. So what we're going to talk about today are the 5 steps to overall customer experience, not just to customer support. Step 1, reevaluate the measurements. First call resolution, historically we love seeing the FCR percentage go up because that makes the support agents look good, but customers still had to contact support in the first place. Is there data that we could glean from our FCRs that would help us eliminate the issues from ever happening to begin with? Likewise, NPS is great, but it only tells you which way the wind is blowing. It doesn't answer the question of why a customer would or would not promote your business. Simple answer, there's no one-size-fits-all metric that's going to improve customer experience in every business. You have to take the lead in your own organization to establish what the most important metrics are across the business. A recent customer of ours had a directive from the CEO to decrease customer churn for its software support contracts. They spent a lot of time talking to their customers to find out why they renewed and, more importantly, why they didn't. They uncovered a lot of pain points, and these proved to be actionable items that could be addressed via business process transformation, and was actually enabled by ServiceNow CSM platform, which we'll talk about later. Another customer had been hearing from his customers that the ease of use was far and away the biggest determining factor for when they picked a vendor, so we worked with them to focus on innovating a new mobile UI for their order fulfillment that set them miles ahead of their competitors. Just different measurements. Step 2, reach across the borders. To me, this is probably the most important one. How can involving other parts of the business help remediate issues faster, or better yet, prevent them from happening? When we contact support for an issue, it usually isn't the support organization that can fix the issue. They act as a toll gate and are typically there just to facilitate the resolution. So we as customers know this, so we start each interaction with support with a sense of distrust that we will have to battle through several support tiers if our issue is complex. So what if our systems would integrate tightly with engineering, product teams, operations, billing, service, and support? So it reduces the distance between the support agents and the tools they need for actual resolution. I'm pretty sure that I would appreciate that from a customer standpoint, and you probably would as well. For an increasing number of businesses, the service offering is driven by technology infrastructure, so cloud operations, data centers, software, but most support organizations don't have any visibility into the operations of the infrastructure. And likewise, the people who are managing the infrastructure don't really understand the potential impact that changes to the environment will have on the customers and how they might be impacted. So with ServiceNow and configuration management, also known as CMDB, we actually have the tools to overcome the separation of duties. And we'll talk a little bit later in the presentation about some of the technology available for that. Step 3, be proactive. I know I'm throwing a lot of ITIL jargon out here today in the presentation, so let me just give you a quick overview if you're not familiar with it. This framework that we know as ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, was started in the late 70s by a consortium of government and enterprises that sought to create a best practices for running an IT department. And what they found was the best approach was to treat end users as customers, and everything in the service management space is built around that notion. With the help of service management frameworks like ITIL and ISO 20000 and some others, enterprise IT has largely moved away from traditional break-fix model of support, where they staff cube farms with agents waiting to take calls or handle chat support when something goes wrong. The idea of problem management, as we call it, is to look for recurring issues and find root cause so that we can ultimately take preventative action so that users aren't disrupted from doing their jobs. For the same reason, change management seeks to reduce the risk of unintended disruptions when changes are made to the IT environment. Net result is far fewer issues experienced by users that would prevent them from going about their daily tasks. So that's an IT usage of service management. Customer service is just starting to see the wisdom in this, but it's typically hampered by the fact that the root cause of the issues they're handling are outside their control. They're part of product development or accounting or operations. You can't just look at the things that you can control. You need to look at the areas that span beyond traditional borders of organizational walls. Remember, we're talking about customer experience here, not customer support. And that segues into our next topic. Step 4, maintain a customer experience task force and/or a customer experience organization. If you're truly going to improve the customer experience, you need to establish a task force or some sort of virtual org or some construct that spans the entire business and involves representatives from any part of the business that impacts the customer experience, which is probably all of them. This team needs to have the ability to evaluate what's going on, make decisions, and investigate. So they need to define an overall customer experience organization then that reports to the CEO or the COO. Should be organizationally agnostic, shouldn't have any ties to one particular part of the organization, and it should consist of leaders from all parts of the organization that are going to be impacting the customer. You can't fix what you don't own. So you need to be able to establish, maintain, monitor KPIs and metrics, look for new KPIs, drive the technology process and roadmap, and then be able to come up with a plan and then take action on that plan. I know this is a very service management concept, but it's time to elevate this concept into a more relevant customer experience process as well. And then our last step, step 5, is to take that task group and do regular and recurring reviews. So at least once per quarter, preferably more often than that, the task force should meet to evaluate the areas of concern with customer service that can be improved. Things like that example that I showed when I went into my mobile provider. If somebody were identifying issues like that, where they're spending a lot of not just money, but also creating dissatisfaction, that's something that they could take action on. So this group should be looking at the metrics, proposing new metrics, defining action plans. Doing this on a regular basis will continue the momentum and keep everybody focused on improvements to customer experience, not just siloed fixes, which don't necessarily improve the customer experience. So the chairman of this group, the chairperson, should be issuing a report that's shared with senior management and the entire organization. This should be publicized so that everybody can contribute to overall success. All right, so those are our 5 steps. Let's talk about how to put these steps into action. First off, if you're going to span the borders, it starts with having a tool that can accommodate cross-platform functionality and allow for tasks to be spread across the organization and garnering metrics that you haven't been able to get before because everybody's been operating in silos. ServiceNow has been doing that sort of thing for almost a decade now. You also need a partner with the experience and know-how to guide you into that journey. The tool itself doesn't do it. You have to have the processes in place as well. Covestic is the premier implementation partner for customer service management on the ServiceNow platform. So ServiceNow gives us the platform and the technology to make all this happen. Covestic has the experience to guide you down the path to success. In the coming days, you'll probably be receiving an email from us. We'd love to set up a time to discuss that with you in more detail. But before we do that, let's talk about the platform itself. So we have a lot of discussion around being connected. This presentation isn't necessarily about the tool, but we do want to show what enables ServiceNow to provide the basis for the major improvement to your overall customer experience. So, ServiceNow has been a leader in IT service management for several years now, and with the additions over the past few years of HR and customer service applications, we now have a fully interconnected end-to-end system that allows for intuitive portals, cross-org tasking, reporting, shared knowledge bases, auditable request items, automated workflows, custom business applications, and really a ton more. All right, just so that you know that we're not just talking about theoretical improvements here, I want to tell you a little about a project that we had the opportunity to work on. 2 years ago, Covestic began an effort with Epicor software that would prove to be one of the most successful ServiceNow customer service management implementations to date. It involved all the steps that we talked about today and a few more, a lot of lessons learned out of that. But the net result was a substantial increase in customer satisfaction that led to Epicor being recognized by the American Business Awards for their improvement to their customer experience. And I want to focus everybody's attention on one part of this press release. With the company's focus on superior customer service, Epicor went searching for a state-of-the-art platform beyond traditional customer relationship management and turned to ServiceNow's customer service management offering. Live since 2016, the solution has not only fundamentally changed the way the Epicor support organization operates, but it has also transformed the company's interactions internally and externally. That's some strong praise there, but guess what? These changes made to the overall customer experience netted significant cost savings and increased revenue. In the coming days, we'll be sending out a copy of the Forrester report on this particular project that shows some of the metrics that they used for determining how profitable this turned out to be for them. All right, so let's review the steps real quick. First off, reevaluate the measurements. Let's not just look at what we can do from a customer support standpoint, but let's find measurements that can actually tell us what's going on throughout the entire customer experience. Step 2, reach across the borders. Let's make sure that we are not just looking at it from a single part of the organization, but we're integrating product development, operations, IT, customer support all together so that we have the ability to span across the organization for enhancing the experience. Number 3, be proactive. If all you're doing is handling break fix, then you're really not making any headway. You're just taking care of issues and playing ping pong with the customer. You're not really improving their processes. Even if you do great customer support, things are still breaking, and that's not really the effortless experience that people are looking for. Step 4, maintain a CX task force. So identify the people in the business who have the ability to drive change, give them the authority, and then with step 5, perform those regular reviews and take action. Make this an integral part of your operations. Don't let everybody get comfortable in their silos. Make sure that you have this task force that is performing and doing a recurring basis of the wash, rinse, and repeat for continual service improvement. All right, so with that, I'm going to open up the floor to questions, and I'm going to hand the microphone back to our moderator, Caitlin.
All right, thanks so much, James. If you do have questions, just go ahead and submit them using that question box on your screen, and we'll have James try to answer as many questions as possible now. All right, it looks like we did have a couple come in, James. The first question that we have is there an ITIL equivalent that is focused just on customer service?
Yeah, I wish there was. So for those of people who are familiar with ServiceNow and IT service management, we know that ITIL drives a lot of the best practices for processes around the IT side of things, but customer service, it doesn't really have the same level of best practices, and that's largely because every organization is different. You operate differently if you're B2B versus B2C, if you're high tech versus low tech, if you are infrastructure driven. So there's really not a best practice guide out there. I wish there was one, and maybe someday if I get motivated, I'll contribute to writing one. But for now, what we can do is take these service management principles from ITIL and apply those in a very constructive manner to service management.
Okay, great. We also have this question. We're already using ServiceNow for ITSM, but we have Salesforce for CRM. How could these work together?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, so Salesforce is a CRM tool, a customer relationship management tool, and it's primarily focused around the sales and marketing side and allows for support. And then there's a big silo between that and operations, obviously. So ServiceNow can certainly integrate with Salesforce to share data between them. But if you're really going to get the full value of it, especially if you already have the ITSM implementation, you have your CMDB already in place, you already have all those processes running, adding the CSM application on top of the CSM and I'm sorry, on top of ITSM really does give you the full scale in the same tool. So you're having the same groups being able to pass tasks back and forth. You're seeing the data back and forth. You're doing root cause analysis based off of customer support issues. So cases are treated like incidents, but then they also give you the ability to evaluate a customer's entitlement, their contracts, what their purchase history is. All of that can be maintained within ServiceNow. So oftentimes we see that we are able to give the support organization much greater visibility into the resolution, and then we also give the back office much more opportunity to see the interaction with the customers if we actually migrate from Salesforce into ServiceNow for customer support.
Okay, great. Thanks, James. And then our last question is, who can show me a demo of the functionality of the platform?
I'd be happy to do that. That or one of my colleagues. So, if that's something you're interested in, we can set that up, and I can actually show you a lot of the actual ServiceNow functionality, and we can talk in more detail about, what would actually work for your business. Like I said, every business operates a little bit differently, but once I learn a little bit about how you operate, we can certainly tailor the demo to fit your needs.
Awesome. All right, it looks like those are all of our questions for today. So that concludes the end of our session. As I mentioned earlier, we will be sending out a recording of today's presentation, but if you do have any additional questions, you can just feel free to reach out to us at servicenow@covestic.com, and then we're also on LinkedIn and Twitter if you do the social media. So thanks so much for attending, and make sure to keep an eye out for upcoming webinars from Covestic.